T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
You're listening to the Confidence Alchemist Radio Show with your host, the Confidence Alchemist himself, Keith Blakemore Noble. To find out more, visit theconfidencealchemist.com. But not before you've listened to this episode of the Confidence Alchemist Radio Show.
Now, my guest today is a fantastic gentleman that I've had the good fortune to be able to connect with recently. If you've seen the information about this, you'll know this already. He's a gentleman called Nick, and he will be joining us very shortly. We're having a slight technical problem today. We've got a slight technical hitch. His machine isn't able to connect into the show at the moment, which is a bit of a problem. But hey, we will still find a way to get this to work. His name's Nick Bradley. He's the founder of Mandala Leaders, and I believe, looking at the dashboard, it looks as though Nick has just managed to connect. Are you there, Nick?
Good evening, Keith. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. It's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening.
Fantastic to have you here, Nick. I'm glad you managed to get connected in the end. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick is now in the house. Excellent. So Nick is going to be talking with us all about his Zero to Authentic Hero, which he's going to be sharing some of the tips from that, some of the experience. He's also going to be sharing some of the background to it that proves that this stuff does work. It's not just something that's been made up. He's going to establish the track record, the pedigree, if you like, of exactly what he's sharing with us. Nick, welcome. Glad to have you here. How is life with you?
Good, thank you, Keith. Very good at the moment. It's been an interesting mix of the summer months so far, with a number of different coaching clients. We're working with some individuals, some small teams, and some larger groups. And it's really nice to have that mix of business to see the different perspectives that each of those bring.
Yeah, I can imagine. So tell us, just for someone who hasn't come across Nick so far, who is Nick? What does he do? Who does he help, and how does he help them?
Okay, sure. Well, my background is actually 20 years in investment banking, and that was a really interesting experience, really driven, hard, money-orientated experience, and that leads to good results. But it does also lead to fatigue and burnout for many people. And to be honest, I got tired of it. So I went into management consultancy and coaching. I learned coaching whilst I was actually in banking. And I approached it from the same perspective as I would sport. I played rugby for 30 years and many other sports, cricket amongst others as well. And I decided to use a coaching method in my business within the bank. And after a year of doing that, we were the best performing team. And everyone was happy working there. Everyone was getting what they wanted out of the organisation, what they needed personally. They were being personally fulfilled. And we were also achieving great results. So that kind of taught me that this is the way forward. Mm-hmm. Every good sports person has their own coach. Every great sports team has their own coach. Why doesn't it happen in business? So that's what I've been doing with Mandala Leaders, going to take coaching into businesses to help leaders and their teams achieve much better results whilst being personally fulfilled as well.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. So you just remind me, how long have you been doing this with Mandala Leaders itself?
Well, Mandala Leaders itself has been going for about 4 years. I've been coaching through various businesses on my own for 10 or 12 years now.
Nice, got it. So you kind of you lived this stuff before you went ahead up and set this all up. Because you're one of the you're the founder of Mandala Leaders, is that correct?
So I'm founder of Mandala Leaders, that's right. Yeah. And alongside me, I have my good friend Daniel, who does more of the marketing and branding piece for businesses and individuals. and Julie, who specialises in helping women, coaching for women in the boardroom. So it's a really nice mix. And we have slightly different approaches, and sometimes we work together on team remits, and sometimes we work one-on-one with our clients.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Oh, awesome. Now, I know you've called this, or we've called this Zero to Authentic Hero. That's kind of your thinking. Tell us a little bit about that. What does it mean, and how? Why is it important? Why is it important?
Well, I found that for many years, whilst I was in business, I was still living with beliefs about myself that weren't actually true. I believed that I wasn't good enough, or that I wasn't able to do these things, or didn't have the right amount of confidence to deliver what was required. And I used to get frustrated with that. But actually, those beliefs were just ones that I picked up on my journey over the years. I picked up as a child, as I picked up as I was growing up. And I reinforced those beliefs to myself for many years. And I came to the realization that they're simply not true. So therefore, being authentic is being authentic to myself and to me and who I truly am, without carrying along those false beliefs. So being authentic is being truly yourself, and not necessarily what you've picked up from others or what others might have told you about yourself in the past, which is just a story. So being authentic is about being true to yourself and being the best you that you can be.
I like that. I love that definition of authentic as well. It's a word we hear bandied about a lot these days, but I really do like your definition of it there. So
thank you. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, awesome. So I know you work a lot with leaders, business leaders, company leaders, this sort of thing. It sounds a bit strange. I mean, do leaders actually have a lack of confidence? I mean, surely leaders, by their definition, they're going to be supremely confident.
Well, that's what many people would imagine, and actually there is a fine tipping point, isn't there, at the other end of the confidence scale between confidence and arrogance. And many leaders, the big alpha males typically, do come across verging on that arrogant space. And they tend to get things done. They tend to be quite successful, but they don't tend to carry their teams with them. They don't tend to have groups of people who really want to work with a leader like that in the long term. And they tend to drive themselves so hard that they can burn out in their middle age and not have a long and successful career, which would otherwise be possible. But we did some research over the summer, and we spoke to a number of leaders who are good friends of ours across London, New York, San Francisco, and we asked them a number of questions. And it was the leaders who were coming back and telling us that they have a lack of confidence. So let me give you an example. 8 out of 10 of the leaders we spoke to said that they'd be more confident if they had more clarity of what it is they needed to do. And that's because many leaders are promoted into a role, or the environment in their business changes, or especially through the financial recession we've had over many years now. Things change. How do you react to that? What do you do? What's your new strategy? And many leaders, 8 out of 10 leaders, are telling us that until they have clarity on what they need to do or what their plan is, it's very difficult for them to have confidence in the delivery of that and confidence in themselves personally. So Edward, one of our leaders, said to us that the one reason he will get improved confidence is by having much improved clarity in the business. Those are his words. So having clarity for what you are doing and what others are doing removes the barriers to greater confidence. So that's one of the key messages we had in our research. We were also told that the amount of time that leaders spend on their personal development was surprising. Some leaders don't spend any time trying to improve themselves. They say they have a lack of confidence, yet they're not doing anything about it.
How's that working out for them?
Exactly. So actually what we're finding is that only 1/4 of leaders, 25% of leaders, make commitments for certain development opportunities in their plan for the year. So at the start of the year,
Wow.
only 25% of leaders say to themselves, right, I have got this skill gap, or I need this new set of tools, or I need to improve my presentation skills or my confidence or whatever it is, and only a quarter of them go and do something about it.
Wow. Any idea
Yeah.
out of this quarter who actually identify they need to do something? Any idea how many of them follow through with that commitment? Because it's one thing to say, I need to do this. It's another thing to actually go out and do it. So do most of them do it, or do quite a portion of them fall by the wayside as well?
Well, the majority of that quarter actually told us that they only respond to ad hoc opportunities, i.e. if something pops up on their mail or they see an advert for something which is appropriate for them, yes, I might. I said to myself I needed to do that, I might go and do it. So very few of them actually proactively reach out and search on Google or look on YouTube or buy a book or hire a coach. I'll say that I'm a coach. Or hire a coach to actually proactively take their own personal development forward. And that really surprised me. It really surprised me what a small percentage it was of leaders who go and do that. And I think part of it is because certainly in big businesses, in alpha businesses that I've worked in, putting your hand up and saying you don't know something is seen as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
And
that is so true.
But I don't think that's necessarily the case, especially when you've just been promoted into a role. How can you be expected to know everything on day one?
Exactly. Yeah.
How can your boss expect you to be the best person in that job ever on at the end of the first 10 days?
Yeah.
And so therefore, by putting your hand up and saying, I have a plan to get from where I am today to A to B in 12 months or 18 months or whatever it is, and what I need to do that are certain resources. I might need more people, I might need more money, I might need better IT, I might need some personal development to get there.
Yeah.
And actually, that's often seen as a courageous thing to do in a large business, but with a sensible boss who understands that everyone benefits from that, you can certainly move forward in your personal development far more easily. But the business has to be receptive to that, and that can only come from the top.
Absolutely, yeah. You're right. It has to be top down driven. Otherwise, it doesn't stand a chance. But those stats that you gave me, though, that's I can't get over that. So 8 out of 10 leaders say they lack confidence due to clarity, but only 1 in 4 leaders make any sort of commitment to doing something about it, about their personal development. And even out of those 1 in 4 leaders, the majority of those only end up doing something if an opportunity happens to fall into their laps.
That's the research that came from our survey earlier this summer, yes, and it was really surprising. But the one thing that also became clear is that if you're lacking in confidence, it actually takes a degree of courage to step forward and to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And those who don't have the courage to do so, I'm not saying it's easy, but those who don't have the courage to do so will remain in that state of low confidence indefinitely. So it's a case of building courage is maybe by just taking a small step. Just taking that first little step to find a coach or to watch an online video or read a book or get an online course.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it in private, you can learn something, you can build up a little degree of confidence, and once you've taken that first step, it's so much more easy to take the second, third, fourth, and fifth steps. But it does need a certain degree of courage to do that. Because all the tools and resources that you need are out there. It's just a case of looking for them.
Yeah, that is a very good point. So, I mean, suppose someone were to come to you and say, "Hey, look, Nick, you know what? I haven't got the confidence I need to really excel in my business or to really help my business excel. What can you do for me? What sort of things? What sort of things could they do? In fact, what are there any things that our listeners could do to at least kind of kickstart them down that road so that they're ready to then work with you or whoever to really surge ahead with their development? What sort of things can they do?
Well, the first thing to do is to bring into awareness the reasons